And then it was last June that a friend of mine, Stan, said, Ray, he said, you know, you are a bit of a guy now, and I'd love to do a challenge with you. So he mentioned Kilimanjaro. And so I said yes. And of course, we've done it. You know, we did do the challenge. We have been up to Kilimanjaro. And a quad amputee going up to Kilimanjaro, having all the different illnesses, was quite a unique opportunity to raise the profile for disabled in limb people in the UK and abroad, really. So I suppose that's why I've done it, because I wanted to show people when you are disabled, anything's possible. And when you've got a mind to it, if you put your mind to anything, you could do it. It doesn't matter how tough it is. It shows and inspires other people to get on with their lives. This was never going to be easy, and for an amputee like myself, below knee and no arms, the logistics of it all and strategy of new legs were paramount. So the training started 9 months previous to the challenge starting in September 2010. And you know, the new legs had to be made, and they were kind of a unique opportunity for the prosthetists and the heads of departments at Roehampton Hospital, Queen Mary's, to understand what type of limbs we're going to use. We need it lightweight, we need strength, and thank goodness in this world of technology we have carbon fibre, light and strong. We have titanium metal, stainless steel. So basically the legs were made very strong, very lightweight. And then I had the training to do on the legs. We did Dartmoor, we did Pennyvan in Wales, we did Brecon Beacons. We did so much training. I think that would have been harder than the main challenge. Well, I was wrong, of course, because the main challenge was much harder. But having said that, we were clued up to what it was going to be like. There was another side to my challenge, though, that being a quad amputee, I needed help getting dressed. I needed help doing my domestic duties. So the whole challenge for me was kind of a very, very big mental as well as physical challenge. It was not so much of a worry up to probably about a month before we left, and then it dawned on me that this is quite a unique challenge, and I did start to get worried, and the more the day became nearer, the more I worried, and I knew that there was going to be some help given to me by Albert, who was going to be my tent buddy. What a fantastic guy he was on the challenge. And then there was Ray's Angels, which was Laura, Lisa and Maggie, who are physios and experts in the field of training. And they all said to me that they would help me, assist me in my duties, which were lovely, really. And Stan helped me guide me up the hill sometimes, or the mountain. And then there was Roy. He's mad, really. I mean, without 40 fags a day and that type of thing, and drinking away, he wouldn't have got anywhere. But he was a great push for me. He kind of got me going, really, up the Kilimanjaro. So it became the day on Sunday, the 7th of September, where we left the UK Heathrow, and we landed the next morning at Nairobi, and then we had an hour journey to Kilimanjaro. And that was kind of a challenge on its own, really, to think that we're flying past Kilimanjaro itself. We see the peak and thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to be climbing that soon. And you think you land at an airport that's in a desert, really, a barren place. But Kili is quite an international airport. It's lovely. And the Tanzanian people greet you with open arms. They're beautiful from day one, really. So yes, we landed, and we ended up going to Kia Lodge, which was a fantastic place to stay. And we visited that afternoon Moishi Medical Centre, and I was so interested in that, being the chairman of Limb Care, that we were visiting a place which made artificial limbs for people in Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. It's the big hospital there in Tanzania, and I met with a Maasai warrior who lost a leg, and some amputees, and quite honoured, really, and humbling to see other people in another country suffer. But I don't think they'd ever seen a quad amputee, so they were quite in awe, really. And I made known that I could help if I can, and basically now I've got the okay. My charity's going to be sending limbs over there, used limbs abroad, so we're going to help them, which I think is good, rather than throw limbs away. And so you see, the challenge has already started really, and I'd made my mark in another country. But in the back of my mind, I knew the next day we'd be leaving the lodge and climbing this awesome volcano. 5,900 metres is the peak, and we're going to be starting at about 1,500 metres. So the next morning we got up, good breakfast, nerves ready, and we just wanted to go, all excited. We had a 9-hour walk that morning, or that day, which was very tough. And it dawned on me then that this is not going to be the easiest challenge at all. And then the next day, camp, again, going up to another 8-hour day. And in between, Albert was looking after me in the tents, and the angels were looking after me. And the guides were fantastic. And the second day, they called me Raimondo. And they nicknamed me Raimondo Kamasimba. And that means Raimondo the Lion. Because they couldn't believe there is a quad amputee climbing this beautiful volcano. And it's very spiritual, you know, you tend to think, wow, you know, you're doing something that very rare, not many human beings have done in the world. And you go through different tundras, the forest, then the barren part, then you go into the coldness of the mountain and see loads of rocks, volcanic rocks everywhere. This is not a walk in the park. And for amputees, which was 4 of us, this is going to be a tough challenge. Third day, again, getting up, normal routine, washy bowl, and then breakfast, and away you go. By then, when we started walking, about 2 hours in, the porters and that had all the tenting and that on their heads, colour gas bottles rushing past us. I mean, that's just a normal routine to them. Smiling, singing, Raimondo Kamasimba, they used to say. And very humbling again, and to see everything happening. But it was tough. The body now was wearing out after 3 days. It dawned on me at 56 years old and having a heart attack and all the rest of the problems I had. I think maybe I'd bit off more than I could chew. Again, camp that night. We got into camp earlier that night, so it was daylight. For once we saw what the campsites would look like. Very well done, actually. They find a flat plateau somewhere on these massive volcano, and that's that camp. And again, now we're probably up to 3,500 meters now, so we're getting a little bit lack of oxygen and feeling the altitude a bit. Next morning, again, get up, washy, normal routine, and then we start to climb. Now we're going to be climbing on the 4th to about over 4,000 meters. This is going to be a tough climb, and it did feel bad. I mean, I started to get very sick, and I had a chest infection, and I asked the doctor to have a look at me, Adam. He said, yes, Ray. He said, it sounds as though you got to start with a chest infection. I thought, well, give me some antibiotics, but he was concerned that this is going to be a tough call now. So he kept monitoring me, you know, sat me down after about 4 hours, and we had a bit of a break, our lunch, and checked me out with everything he could, more tablets. And that night came in, not very well at all. But he said, well, we'll see how it goes, and I had a rest. Next morning again, feeling very, very tired, and thought, what am I doing? I wondered why I'm putting my body through all this, actually. All my team members were the same. The other amputees were suffering with blisters like myself. And we were all concerned why we were doing it. Some were joyful. We were all writing diaries about what our life's going through. And, you know, even at night time when we sat net, we all gelled and understood that this is something so special. The team were forming such a beautiful and friendly atmosphere that you wouldn't break this. This will go on forever in our lives. The next morning, the 5th day, well, the body was saying no, but the mind wanted to, so again we went on. I had guides looking after me and helping me because I was feeling the exhaustion, and the chest pains were hurting. The chest infection really got to me by now. And this was going to be a very long day. We were heading towards what they call Barranco Camp. Now, Barranco Wall is a sheer rock wall, sheer rock face. It's not vertical, but it looks it from a distance. And that's what we're going to go to, the camp first, before the 6th day we climb that. And by now we can start to see the peak where we end up. awesome sight actually. A chill goes down your spine even now talking about it, and the emotions are there. They're building up. The adrenaline builds up, and we're all as a team thinking we will be there. Very unique actually to have civilian amputees and the way we were put together to be at the top or even doing this. Even the guides were saying, you are on the toughest route, the Mosho route we were on, and you could feel the tension. But again, on and on we went. The team bypassed me, then they overtook me because I was slow, feeling exhausted. And I knew I was going to be last into camp. My prosthetist, Tom, and his colleague, Andrew, were with me just in case the limbs would break down. Blisters are hurting me now. I was looking for more energy, which was in the depths. I thought I'd used all the energy and reserves up, but I kept finding a little bit more. But I couldn't breathe. Every 2 steps I was vomiting through the altitude sickness, and quite honestly, I thought of my family. I was crying in pain actually. And the doctor saw me probably 2 hours from the camp, and he said, "Are you all right, Ray?" I said, "No, I'm not at all." And he said, "Well, we've got to get you to camp." But he said, "Then we'll have to assess it." So it was kind of touch and go, really. I mean, I knew that I was putting my body through something it never been through before. Eventually, we saw camp ahead, and then we saw the Barranco Wall. Michael, that's the time where you take a few deep breaths and think, oh my God, am I going to do that tomorrow morning? The guides with me were sort of dragging me by now over rocks, trying to get me in. I was in tearful situation. I was crying. I said, I just don't want to do this anymore. Eventually I was pulled into camp, and all my team colleagues were standing there crying and cheering. To see a quad amputee come in like that was quite emotional. They said, "You shouldn't put your body through this anymore. You're killing yourself." They found me a chair, and I sat down, and the relief of sitting down in one of those chairs, albeit it was a campsite chair, was kind of like your own front room and a sofa. It was just an awesome feeling. So, to picture that and watch my team members all come up and kiss me and cuddle me and say, "Please, Ray, don't go on. You can't put your body through this anymore. Although you want to do it, you've done so much."